Okay, y'all, here we are. I'm going to give you a quick view of what I call well, I would call it more of an urban homestead. It's a little bit more than just a garden, but this is where we're going to start. When you come to these folks' home, the first thing you're going to pull up you see when you pull up is several things. The first thing, the major big thing you're going to see when you turn the corner is this tree. And right there's a broken branch. We had some severe thunderstorms and tornadoes come through the area, or wide area, this past week, and did some serious damage in a lot of areas. But so it got some of this tree, unfortunately, but because you can see they're having to process some of the wood and get ready to burn it. But this is a very large pear tree. I benefit from this personally because these folks love to collect the pears, eat some, and give me a whole bunch to make pear butter. I love pear butter and can it. Example A, urban homesteading, fruit tree. Also, you will notice, now listen, I told you guys there's a lot of flowers down there too. We are smack dab in the middle of a neighborhood, okay? So HOA, neighbors, nosy neighbors right now, really the whole shebang. So this is going to be an example of what you can do in an urban homestead or mini farm or whatever you want to call it. Let's get real. Now, in this area, what this individual has chosen to do is taking the side. He doesn't have a huge backyard. Has a very large front and somewhat of a sloping side yard. So what he has done is extended the garden coming down. I'm not going to turn my phone simply because I'm afraid that I'm going to mess it up. So we're going to leave it like it is. But what he initially did is he started with raised beds. You can see here, right here in the center, on the other side of the breezeway, is 4 raised beds, and they are, I believe they are 4 4x8s. And he has worked off of these for several years now. Like I told you before, now that I can say this, we're into August, and when you are in the South in August, a lot of your early spring crops are way past gone, and your standard crops, summer crops, are starting to go out. So the person that owns all this said, I wish you had filmed this a couple months ago, because he's so used to the garden being so lush and beautiful, and it is. So I'm getting you at the end. What I want you to think of here is setup and kitty cats. Hey, Bubba. Hello, honey. Come on. So, if you'll notice, he's added some rocks, added some pea gravel. Now, another way that these folks do a garden, and I'm going to tell you, when you come in May and early June, this is breathtaking. It is so lush. They take advantage of whiskey barrels. They take advantage of all kinds of potted accessories, potted plants, and they typically put in there very edible items such as herbs, strawberries, kitty cats. Are you talking to me? Now over here, we have more strawberries, we have herbs, we have peppers. He has done some beautiful peppers this year. Let's see if I can get that one right there. Gorgeous peppers, still producing jalapenos, gypsy sweet peppers, bell peppers, eggplant. This one container, it looks like we have 6 to 8 plants. And if you've grown peppers before, you will know that 6 to 8 pepper plants with a little bit of variety is going to give you more than you probably will use, especially with jalapenos in this area. So then what we've done, he has Epsom salt. He's got his little watering container. He's got his sand. He's got all of his items out here. We've got a little pathway. And then again, this is another side view of the remnants, if you will, of what was tomatoes. Now, he did have trouble with blight. I'm going to post you a blight recipe, or how to control it. A lot of folks had a tremendous problem this year with blight in this area. Sometimes it just hits. But he's still getting some tomatoes at this point, so that's good. He added flowers, marigolds for pest control. Now I want to show you some stands and some other things here. What you're looking at right here is about 6 feet tall total, okay? And it was cucumbers. My cucumbers look much worse than this now, because as soon as they are done, honey, they are done, and within a week, they're done. How many times can I say done? But I want you to notice the stand. That's what we're trying to look at here. This is where I learned vertical gardening from, is from this gentleman, because I wanted to learn how to maximize my yield in small spaces. This is how you do it. Do it with different types of stands, and depending upon what you're growing will determine exactly what you think you need to use. I have used this year in my garden, these again, as well as horse wire, horse fencing. All he did, these are square, the sturdy, not the little thin cheap ones you get for $3.99 at Walmart. These are the sturdy tomato cages. And if you will notice, there are 2 of them. Because what he's done, I am convinced that there are a few things that will save the earth. And one of them is zip ties, duct tape, and probably apple cider vinegar. But that's another story for another day. He zip tied these 2 together, just kind of laid one in, zip tied it. And what he did with his cucumbers is he planted them on the inside of, on the ground, obviously, on the inside of the cage. And when the cucumbers started growing, he just helped feed them through, and then they just latch. That's a wonderful way to get them up off the ground, control them, see your fruits and vegetables. Over here, we have some more squash, tomatoes, okra. He thought he'd try just a little bit of okra this year. And then we're going to continue to come down the path. We have more strawberries. These folks, I will tell you, they have to change the garden every year. They rotate things, rotate gardens. They have to rest things. That's part of it. About 3 years ago, they had more strawberries than you have ever seen. This whole area was strawberries. And it got to a point where they were playing out, so they pulled a lot of them up. I know they gave me a bunch that I planted, had success with. And they decided to put them into these container gardens. So you have strawberries. So, you know, maybe he's not getting as much as he did a couple years ago, but he still has plants and he can still produce. And they are still multiplying. As you can see, the runners falling out there. One of my favorite things of all time is a TP. He decided this year to try TP. I told him, I said, why don't you try a TP? Because I gave him some Missouri Wonder beans. And this is where he decided to put it. Now, it's at the end. They have already pretty much picked pretty much all the beans off. You might be able to get a glimpse of a few in there still. But when this is lush and full, it is the most striking thing in a garden. And if you can get several maybe bamboo poles in there, 6 to 7 feet tall, you are going to get a tremendous yield of green beans. I do want to come over here and point out something. If you're doing urban gardening, particularly with tomatoes, now he is going to kill me for posting this, but because they're all clumped up over here. This guy's very particular. These have not been put out this year. These are always prepped and washed, and each one of these is placed individually by each of the plants because it's a water pick system. You buy these are from gardenersupply.com. They're their water picks. It allows you to choose where you want to place the hole based upon your type of soil that you have. Is it more sandy based, loam, or clay? Where we're at, it's a lot of clay. Not here, because he's brought in all his soil. And then you attach a 2-liter bottle that you have cut off the end. And then on the inside, there's remnants. I always put, and he does too, a little bit of sand in there that helps to slow down the drainage of the water. But then you put it at the base of the plant, and then, see, the plant will pull the water how it needs it, how much it needs it. You just fill up the 2-liter. Sometimes that water sits there for 1 or 2 days. Sometimes within 2 hours the water's gone. Each individual plant is making its own decision by its root system what it needs. That's how you avoid a lot of problems. Think about that. These folks are big into herbs. This gentleman is a tremendous cook. Seriously, he can grill and can just about anything. I've walked in today and he's canning corn. But the secret to a lot of that is obviously herbs. It does one of two things. It obviously adds value to what you're cooking. We all know that. There's a lot of medicinal properties. And I don't know if I can get all of this. There are bees everywhere, even in this neighborhood, you know. Bees. And that is because they are continually trying to plant different types of pollinator, plants that attract pollinators, be it especially bees and butterflies. And they have a lot of hummingbirds too. But here, if you've never seen this, this is lime basil. And you can see it's going to go to seed here. This gentleman gave me this several years ago. I had never heard of it. I love basil. And I had never seen or smelled or ate lime basil. I grow this in a tremendous amount right now because it is fantastic. You can get those at rareseed.com. They do sell those. I highly recommend you try lime basil if you have not, along with all the others. But you've got rosemary, you've got oregano, you have sage, you have all of these wonderful things. This is where her irises were. She loves irises. So she does a combination of things, and dill and all kinds of wonderful things, dogwood trees. And down here, of course, you have different types of, as you see, they're kind of getting to the end here of their bloom. Echinacea, coneflower, plant it. I'm a huge advocate of these flowers because, number one, they're perennials, and number two, they're beautiful. Number three, they have medicinal purposes. We learned that in abundance from the Native Americans. Thank you. But also, the bees love them. They just love them. So this is just a quick little look. You know, this may not be what you want to do. You can add rocks and add all kinds of appeal, but, you know, just different ways for you to do different things with a garden, even if you only have 1,000 square feet to work with. You can choose to till, you can choose to do a raised bed, but think about going vertical. This is what I always tell people. You can do things along your fence line. I want you to look here. Right smack dab in the beginning of August. That is awesome. Still getting a few strawberries. You know, you think of different ways. I use fencing. I use different types of, these types of posts. I have used lattice. I use bamboo. Look online. Find somebody that you know that might be doing this, even if it's just small scale, and talk to them. Always talk to them, because trust me, they want to tell you. They want to give you advice. They want to help, and they love a fellow gardener, because guess what? That's somebody they can connect with, maybe barter with. So I hope this helps. This is just one example. I'm going to post some pictures later. But I've just really admired over the years what these folks have been able to do. This is not a one-year deal, okay? These people have gardened at 2 different locations for as far back as I can physically remember. And different ways, from potatoes to beans to an abundance of tomatoes. He told me, he said, man, I wish you'd come when I had a big crop. Because there's been one time I remember I came here, this location. It's been 5 or 6 years ago. And he had the biggest tomato yield I have ever seen. It blew my mind. So this is who I seek motivation from. And I hope this helps you. Ask any questions. And by the way, I just want to say that there are more fruit trees planted. There is more coneflower and echinacea, coneflower, butterfly bushes planted on purpose. If you go around the corner, which is, we have a bunch of people here, so I'm not going to go around there and you'll see them and everybody else, but you will see that they have raspberry bushes, blueberry bushes, garlic beds, and lots of other goodies. So they really, I would say the gardening area goes around the house at least 50%. At least. So I hope this helps. Ask any questions. I hope you enjoy it. Have a good night.